Islamic Sharia in a conversation in their streets. But they made sure that their state will forever make sure no one will ever rule them by Sharia.
Ah.
Yes. Did you guys know about this?
Yeah,
No.
I heard that. I came across that like WorldNet Daily.
You can Google it. I forget which state. Wisconsin, one of those bankrupt states.
What they call flyover states.
Yeah, I forget which one, but you can Google it. It'll take 20 seconds to get that story. Disgusting, utterly disgusting. But more importantly, total bankruptcy. Forget the financial bankruptcy. This is spiritual bankruptcy. They're bankrupt. There's nothing left in the goddamn party. Everybody is just mumbling, murmuring the same old rotten story. Terrorism, terrorism, terrorism. The whole country is just buzzing with the same old empty lie.
Yeah.
Their politicians, the only rallying cry they have left is hate for Islam and fear of Islam. That's it. The politician wants to get into Washington. Well, we gotta pump up the military because our enemies are out to get us. Which enemies? Oh, well, the terrorists. The ones with the huge fleet and the huge arsenal of tremendous, propulsion propulsions, including paper planes and
rocket-propelled camel
and Afghani kites, because those Afghanis and their kite tradition. Any day now, one of those guys will fly over into Washington and take down one of our symbols of paganism. So what I mentioned was about the bankruptcy of the whole political culture, and even beyond that. Beyond that, it's spiritual bankruptcy. It's a spiritual bankruptcy, and it doesn't bode well. People who are spiritually bankrupt are capable of a lot of stupid stuff. They're capable of a lot of very stupid stuff.
Yeah, like now, how they're getting away with the FBI is doing preventive with these Muslims now. I forgot what they called it.
Yeah.
PBS did a story on it. Preventive arrest or something like that.
Yeah,
it's complete BS.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
It's exactly an illustration of what I'm talking about. They're bankrupt.
Yeah, it's like a thought crime. You're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's actually the perfect opportunity for someone who has a good idea. Someone with a good idea is the perfect opportunity because the people are starved. Their government doesn't want to take care of them. The government is misleading them. Their own leaders are deceiving them. Their own people, because the leaders are from the people themselves in a democracy like America. Basically, what we have is a bunch of thugs, a bunch of deceivers.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. None of them wants to say this. Enough of the fear-mongering. We have real problems that we need to solve. And that's why the U.S. military budget is crazy. It's insane. It's equal to the military budget of the whole rest of the world, including China, with 1.3, 1.4 billion people.
Yeah.
Why? Hatred and fear of Islam. That's why the goddamn budget is so big.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's stupid. That's all. It's laughable if it wasn't so miserable.
Yeah.
Now, what was I forgot the impetus of this last conversation.
Basically, ultimately the point was
external factors.
Exactly.
So, and that's, as a Muslim Ummah, that's what we have to worry about. Allah knows best, but I predict that we might see something rise up. Now, their main enemies, the ones they really want to get rid of, would be Syria and Iran. Iran, that's an obvious, blatant one because they've tried it over and over again, using these electronic communication means to mass communication means to deceive the Iranians into a fabricated revolution. Right. Fortunately, the Iranians were smart enough because Ahmadinejad a few days ago, they had this massive pro-government demonstration where they basically just invited the people who support the government to come out to the streets to basically so that they can see each other, so that the Iranians can see that the vast majority of the people support their government, which is a perfect political maneuver, because this is ultimately about image. It's ultimately about what people see, and that's how these fake revolutions also work. Is what we mentioned at the beginning, that even 1% of a large number of people can look like the majority.
Right.
Yeah. So the Iranians basically they kind of diffused that, because when you got to see when they put out on television the images of the vast numbers of pro-government people, it basically showed that the anti-government people were a very small minority. It
Right.
outlined that the fact that this is just a rebellious minority that needs to be put away and put down, and illegally. Legally, the government, of course, has the right. If a small minority wants to overtake the majority, then the government has the right to defend the rights of the majority. But the main enemies they have would be Lebanon, Palestine, of course, Hamas in the Gaza Strip, Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. Now, Iran they've already tried. The next would be. Their prize would be Syria, because if they go for Syria, they can divide Lebanon they can cut off Lebanon from Iran. From Iran. Lebanon is a shorter strip. It's easier to control who flies in or who moves in and out. But with Syria as an ally to Iran, there's a huge border between Syria and Lebanon. That would be it's impossible to control. And so, if we see an attempt at somehow manipulating or creating a protest demonstration in Syria, then one we should suspect outside agencies trying to manipulate, trying to control or manipulate events in Syria. Not that the Syrian people don't have a right to a representative government of the Sunni majority, which they don't have right now. Syria right now is ruled by a very small minority of Alawites, which is actually an extremist religious group even within Shiaism. So they're not representative politically, they're not representative religiously, they're not representative socially, they're not representative even racially as the small clan that they are. Right. But none of those factors Islamically actually allow for revolution. As long as they allow the majority of the people, the Muslims there, to practice their religion in peace. Understand? Yeah, Islamically, none of those would. As long as the Muslims can practice their religion in peace and they're not hindered in any way, then no one, it's not worth causing a civil war. It's not worth shedding the blood of innocent people, innocent Muslims or others. Right. Just because of an appearance, or because of because of what's the word? Objectives or reasons that are neither here nor there. Ultimately. Yeah. And Allah and His Messenger know best. Okay. Well, I think we can stop here. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Alaikum assalam.